why the hell not? And if not, well shit, I hope you will be soon. Okay, it's been about 2 weeks since From Hell I Rise came out, and I've listened to it a bunch, and look man, I'm not gonna do some setup here for the sake of trying to keep you watching. I fucking love it. It hit quickly with me, and I'd be lying if I said anything else. Now, why this is titled as a how-to will unfold in a second, but can I just say real quick, do I ever think that everyone did just such an absolutely tremendous job musically, man? Like, they're all just wonderful players, obviously, and maybe it's just because he's the singer, so it's the most plain to see, but that Mark, man, he sings his fucking heart out. You can just tell he put everything into it, and he brought his A game, and like, 110%. What a fantastic job he did. So, okay, getting into the how-to. Half of me's inclined to say that I think it's one of those albums where once you understand why it can be enjoyable, you get it, and then you're good. Which, that's something I've learned in recent years, and I've even employed it in my own listening experience. Like, how once you see it through a certain lens, let's say, it all makes sense. Like, maybe somebody's gotta explain it to you for you to get it, but once you do, you have your aha moment, as they say. That's certainly been a thing for me before, I'll admit that openly. And I've said this in other videos, most recently with Killing for Revenge, 6 Feet Under, but the first example I always use, and the best one I can think of if you like heavy metal, is with Zetro era Exodus. Once you realize that a lot of the songs, both lyrically and musically, have a kind of horror, sort of fucked up science fiction theme to them, it makes a lot of sense as to why he's the perfect voice and he sounds like a scary goblin. Hell, Kerry King himself has said that that's the reason he didn't like death metal for a lot of years, because of the vocals. Now perhaps he's changed his opinion on that since, because I've heard him praise bands with grumbly vocals, so maybe it's because he made the connection that it's death metal and those songs are gonna be about, like, you know, death and shit, so the vocals match hand in hand with the themes. However, in From Hell I Rise's case though, I don't think the why should this album be considered good question has to do with the vocals, rather something else that I'll get to in a second. But the other half of me, the part where I fall under, says it's enjoyable simply because the songs are hookish and they hit, plain and simple. And it doesn't require any explanation because it's the whole deal about like, hey, a good song's a good song, which of course is obviously subjective, but I really think existing criticism might be the result of things other than the music itself. What I mean by that, and for the sake of this point being understandable, is shit man, let's just pretend From Hell I Rise is a new Slayer album, because I think by this point it's pretty widely agreed that it sounds like the follow-up to Repentless. And that's what I mean, it's being compared very fairly, I think, to pretty much everything from Christ Illusion upward. So perhaps people that aren't receptive to it quickly are that way because they feel like they could just as well put on World Painted Blood and they hear the same thing. And maybe the other reason, this might be kind of a ballsy thing to say, and I've certainly been guilty of it too when I was younger, but because this is a pretty damn mainstream release and it's got big promo behind it and the band's already been booked on some very commercial festivals, I know that kind of thing clouds judgment sometimes. Which, hey, fine man, if something like that's gonna interfere with your experience, I can appreciate it. Everybody's doing their own thing, so who the hell am I to say somebody else's journey's a good one or a bad one? But like, if your diet mainly consists of, say, like old Slayer or bands like Morbid Saint or Sadist, Whiplash, or more recent stuff like Seax, what's up Carmine, or Grim Statistic or Sinister Feeling or something, you know, that real skate stuff, then okay, I understand. Even though it's all metal and spawned from the same subgenre, thrash, it may be too shiny for you. But if you can just fucking manage to hear it for what it is, you may end up loving it, even if you gotta keep it a secret from all your real gutter punk friends. I'll include myself being in a similar situation at one point. Early 2002, the follow-up to Satisfaction is the Death of Desire, Perseverance, Hatebreed comes out. Now, that was controversial and hardcore at the time because it was their major label debut. It was out on Universal. Back then, for me, it was strictly only 100 Demons, God Below, Divided by Hate, and fuck everything else, now including Hatebreed. So silly in retrospect, but I bought Perseverance simply because I was curious as hell as to how different it was going to be from anything before it. Like now that it had McDonald's behind it, so to speak. And I figured it was only a matter of time till they're on Ozfest or some other mega tour. But holy shit, right out of the gate, no matter how cool or badass I tried to seem, I could simply not deny that it was fucking awesome, man. That song Proven is the perfect way to start it off. And then the title track, and then You're Never Alone, and I Will Be Heard, and Call for Blood, just one song after the other, after the other, after the other. bam, did I think that album was amazing, man. I just had to sit back and ignore that it was on a major label and still feel cool, and to this day, I'm glad I didn't deprive myself of it. I'm not like that anymore, like restrictive because of stuff, but I was back then. Or if it wasn't an album, let's say it was some big band's tour. My friend Brett, for years, was nothing but one of those bunker dwellers, musically speaking. If it wasn't Os Rotten, Oi Polloi, or Conflict or something, fuck it. But summer of 2000, his little sister wanted to go see Metallica on some huge tour. Summer Sanitarium, I think it was called. And even he said afterward, Metallica were amazing, man. Load and Reload might have been pure loads of shit, but it was fun as hell seeing them live. So sometimes I guess if you just let your hair down, it'd be like that. I suppose by now, most people that might be watching this have probably already listened to it all the way through. So I don't think it's really all that necessary to dissect many of the songs, which therein possibly lies another reason why it may not be sitting so well with some people. Because they're already music scientists themselves. So indeed, performing such a dissection uncovers stuff that they don't like about it. Like comparing it to other Slayer releases means a song like Crucifixation or Rage is too similar to Hate Worldwide or Atrocity Bender, you know? But still, whatever, man. You do you, and however it works best for you is what I say. Some of my favorite songs on the album are Residue, which, is it just me, or does that song in some weird way remind you of the title track off Fine Art of Murder, Malevolent Creation? If you know that song, am I crazy for thinking that? If you don't know it, it's awesome, man. The whole album's awesome. It's like the soundtrack to Forensic Files in the late 90s. But Trophies of the Tyrant and Rage and Everything I Hate About You, Two Fists, all really enjoyable songs, I think. So yeah, dude, I guess my illustration to anybody who knows deep down they wouldn't want to publicly admit to liking this, but also doesn't want to deprive themselves of something they could possibly dig, maybe just try to imagine you're seeing the band live and they open with that Diablo intro, really strong, cool intro in my opinion, and then they rip right into Where I Reign, or hell, maybe their intro is Shrapnel. That'd be a really cool way to start a show, and then just let it take you where it may. I think you'd probably end up listening to the album on the way home, maybe even the next day and beyond. But as always, like I like to say, the fuck do I know? So okay, maniacs, I am done. Perhaps if you did like this video, cool, man, maybe you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you just enjoy hearing somebody bullshit about heavy metal, then whip some goddamn shrapnel or something right at that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on Concrete Spew, but until then, stay wild, my friends.